when you go through the CPSM certification, there's a specific case study where one of the characters in the case study, they're going through and they're having issues with boxes, quality's falling out, they're not receiving things on time, they're having a delivery on time delivery issues, all these different things. And so instead of firing the supplier, they decide to go visit the supplier's location to see what's going on. Let's have a conversation. Let's see what's going on. And when they arrive, they saw a big mess. What was happening? They had new machines, they had new employees, they had major turnover in leadership. There were a lot of things going on that just weren't, that were indicators of why they were having quality issues. And so by having an inspection process on the receiving end, we're receiving it, so we're inspecting it, hey, the quality's not right. And then following through with that inspection all the way to the source, the supplier themselves, then we can identify what the issues are. And if we find out that there are issues that can be easily fixed, we can have a conversation with the supplier to get those fixed. At the same time, if we see that those issues are not easily fixed, then we may have to make a decision. And when those decisions come down, always think about the cost of change, right? And that's where a lot of folks get stuck with a supplier, is the cost of change is too expensive to allow them to move forward, right? So instead, what they're doing is they're like, okay, let's see what's going on. It's going to be so expensive to change, they're just going to have to suck it up and make it work. And we don't want that, right? So that's why we had that conversation. And then having that conversation with the vendors so that they can see that, hey, we're a partner with them and we expect them to approve with a clear improvement plan, then they're able to be successful. We really talk about how to build out that process. And then, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes you have to have 100% inspection. It's just required because the impact of failure is too high to allow failure to happen. So you have to have 100% inspection, make sure it's absolutely correct. And just to give you an example of what that may look like, we had someone in our training, she was involved in the medical devices industry. So, as you can imagine, if you're the receiver of those medical devices, like a pacemaker, a stent, anything, you want to make sure that's correct, right? So that they would inspect 100% of the time, all the time, so that they wouldn't have any issues. So that's just an example of why you might have 100% inspection. Again, airline parts that go in airplanes, transportation, the whole thing with the railroad crossing things, you can't have failure, right? It has to stop, right? Doesn't mean the driver's really smart enough to not go through there, but we have to do our part. Failure is not an option, so we have 100% inspection.